Halfdan, I can see you there. You have been telling lies about me. You have been telling people that I smell like a pig, that I don't deserve my inheritance, and that my wife is sleeping with other men. So you take that back right now. I will not take it back. I said what I said, and I will say it again. Okay? Then I demand Holmgang. Yes. Today we are going to talk about Holmgang. And if you didn't know, Holmgang was a form of a duel practiced during the Viking Age. So you would have two people. They would be put on an island, small island, and they would fight. In the saga, it says that the two men would fight on an ox hide 3 meters long, and they would have 3 shields each, and they would hit each other one after the other. They would hit each other and break the shields, and then continue hitting each other with their weapons until the first drop of blood landed on that ox hide, and the one who bled first lost the battle. But in reality, you know, Holmgang was, I believe, most likely, most often, a duel to the death. And the loser lost his possessions very often to the guy who won. It was an attempt to resolve conflicts before they escalated and became blood feuds, which was something that could wipe out entire clans during the Viking Age. Now, interestingly, there were people during the Viking Age who took advantage of the practice of Holmgang. You would have professional warriors and berserkers roaming the land. I'll get back to an example of this, but they would be roaming the land, insulting people, and the man who was insulted would then demand that this guy would have to take it back, you know, or else it had to be resolved with Holmgang. And if you had a common farmer facing a trained, you know, professional warrior, the outcome would be most likely that the professional warrior would kill the farmer and take his stuff. So there are some examples of that in the sagas, and it became a form of legalized robbery. Typically, Holmgang was used to resolve conflicts involving honor, debt, and inheritance. I will give you some examples of that, and the first one, just off the top of my head, is from Njål's saga, right at the beginning, actually, and now I can't remember the names. But okay, one guy, he is married to this woman who divorces him because of they were not a good fit in the bedroom, to put it that way, and then the father of this woman goes to the man and he says, "I want the dowry back," so the money the wealth that came with this woman into the marriage, and this guy says, "I will not give the dowry back, and I challenge you to Holmgang." So so that's one example, but I will give you 3 examples where I actually do remember the names of the involving parts. But before I do that, let me just tell you that this video has been sponsored by folkrealms.com, which is an online forum for people interested in our European pagan roots, mythology, Norse mythology, you know, basically the stuff that I'm talking about in my videos. And there are no AI there, no bots or anything like that, no bullying, and no people trying to use our European ancestry for political purposes. So folkrealms.com, I love that platform, so come and join me there. So the first example of Holmgang from the sagas is a Holmgang that involved my direct ancestor, Egil Skallagrimson. A few words about Egil Skallagrimson. He has his own saga, and he was special, even by Viking standards. He was a poet, a warrior, occasional sorcerer, and a bit of a madman. And he claimed inheritance for his wife. And he was Icelandic, so he went to Norway to claim that, to get that inheritance for his wife. And there was a guy there who disagreed with that. That guy was called Bergönundre. And of course Egil killed him, and he killed his companions too. So that was the end of that. And we have, of course, the famous battle between Gunnlaug and Raven. That's a cool name. They fought for the hand of Helga the Fair. That was in 1006. And tragically, this led to them both dying. And then we have the story of Ljot the Pale. He was a berserker, and he was a Swedish guy who roamed the land of Norway looking for conflict, or as I described earlier, he was basically just trying to provoke people so that they would challenge him to Holmgang, where he would kill them, and then he would just steal their stuff. He would just take their material possessions. And he challenged a guy called Fridgeir, who was just a farmer, you know, to a duel, to Holmgang. But what Ljot did not know was that Fridgeir had a visitor, a friend from Iceland. Guess who? His friend was Egil Skallagrimson. Egil was in his 40s by then, and and he showed up to the Holmgang with two swords and his shield, his trusty shield, and of course Egil had named his swords Adder and Slicer, and they started fighting because Egil, he took the place of Fridgeir. You could do that. You could have someone else fight for you, at least on some occasions. That's how they managed to get out of a difficult situation. They would hire someone or someone who had fighting experience, right? So Egil, he took Fridgeir's place, and he cut off Ljot's leg, and Ljot died, and they had a big party. So what if we brought back Holmgang? Yeah, I know, we shouldn't do that, you know, but what if? Let's just entertain that thought. I believe that people would be a lot more, they would hold back a little bit before they went online and wrote hateful messages and stuff like that. They would probably not be as they would behave better in their daily life, I believe. You wouldn't have as much road rage if the people, you know, the idiots in traffic, with flipping the bird, as they say, and behaving in a bad manner when they're driving. You wouldn't have that kind of behavior, because that kind of behavior could result in them being challenged to Holmgang. On a more serious note, I think that we need to bring back people being held accountable for their actions and their statements, their behavior. We need to bring that back, because, and this is something, and I won't go on and on about this, but what irritates me about the so-called modern life, modern society, is that people can just behave very badly without consequences, and I don't like that. I think that there should be consequences. That's just my opinion. Of course, I'm not saying that we should bring back Holmgang, but what I'm saying is that let's aim for holding people more responsible for the way they are behaving, if you get what I'm saying here. Maybe you disagree, that's fine. You can write some in the comments. I would like to hear your opinion. And that's all for now. Check out one of the other videos that should pop up here on the end screen, and I'll see you in a few days.